Okay, class, today we're going to start the battle for writing equations of a line. Now, if you've noticed as we've gone through here over the last few days, we've learned different equations that represent a line. So we call those linear equations. So as I go through here as a quick review then, let's look. What is slope-intercept form? Well, the equation of the line in slope-intercept form is, let's see, y equals mx plus b. Remember, we learned m stands for the slope and b is the y-intercept. And then yesterday, we learned the new form, point-slope form. And if you remember, point-slope form looks like this. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Our book says prime, x prime. Okay, so for point-slope form, you need a point, so you're going to need an ordered pair, and they're going to tell you that m equals some number, and we plug them in. And then the last equation that we have to worry about is standard form. And if you remember, standard form looks like this. AX plus BY equals C. So those are the three equations that we're working toward or working with as we're in Chapter 8. Now, the goal of the battle is to write the equation of the line. And most of the time, they're going to have us run to slope-intercept form. We're going to find out that there's every line has one unique slope-intercept form. And so that's our driving force as we go through here. So we're going to start, and depending on the information that they give us in the problem, helps us decide which steps or which method we need to take to get to the end result of that slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So if you notice, Mrs. Burton put all the linear equations at the top of the slide, and the directions say write an equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. Which one is that? If you look up here, is it door number 1? Is it door number 2? Or is it door number 3? That's right, slope-intercept form is door number 1. We've got to make it look like y equals mx plus b. So let's look at number 1. Well, they're telling me in number 1 that the slope is negative 1/3, and the y-intercept is 4. Well, they told me slope. What do we plug slope in for? Yeah, slope gets plugged in for m. What do we plug the y-intercept in for? B. So basically, if they give me the slope and they give me the y-intercept, all we have to do is plug those numbers in their appropriate places. So we've got y equals m. Well, m is negative 1/3. Don't forget to write your x, mx plus b, and b is 4. Whoops, Mrs. Burton wrote b instead of... Okay, so this should be a 4. Sorry about that. All right. Now, let's go down here to number 2. Let's see what information they gave me. Well, they told me the slope. Remember, if they tell me slope, then that means they told me m. And then they gave me a point. Remember, this is an ordered pair, an x and a y. So if they gave me the slope and a point, which one of those equations at the top are we going to use? Are we going to use door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3? Yes, if they gave me the slope and a point, we're going to go to point slope, which is door number 2. So we've got y minus y prime equals mx minus x prime. So now that we've figured out by the information they gave me what equation to use, now we just need to plug in the numbers and do the math. So here we go. We've got y minus, what's in the y position? 1 equals m. They told me m was 3, x minus 4. Now remember, I'm supposed to get it into slope-intercept form. Okay, we're supposed to get it into slope-intercept form, so I need to get y alone. Okay, so we need to get y by itself. So in order for me to do that, what should we do first? What does order of operations say that we need to do first? Yes, we need to take care of our distributive property. So we got y minus 1 equals, if I take that 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Now, do we have y alone yet? Not exactly. Okay, we've still got this minus 1, so we've got to move that to the other side. So we are going to add 1 to both sides. And so now my line in slope-intercept form is y equals 3x. What's negative 12 plus 1? Minus 11. Okay, great job. Okay, so now let's try the next slide. Okay, did you notice I still have all 3 of our equations up there? Everybody try number 3. Everybody try number 3. Again, let's recognize what information did they give me? Well, they told me slope, so that's m. They gave me an ordered pair or a point, so that's x and y. So are we going to use door number 1? Are we going to use door number 2? Are we going to use door number 3? That's right, we're back to door number 2. We're going to use slope-intercept form. Y minus y prime equals m times x minus x prime. Let's plug everybody in. Y minus 7 equals negative 2/5 x minus 5. What should we do first? Yep, we got to take care of that distributive property. So y minus 7 equals negative 2/5 times x is negative 2/5 x. What's going to happen when I multiply negative 2/5 by negative 5? Nice, the 5's cancel out. That's going to be plus 2. Okay, do we have y alone yet? Who's our floater? Who needs to move? Yes, we need to add 7 to the other side. So that means we've got y equals negative 2/5 x. And if we're adding 7, we get plus 9. And that's the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. All right, let's look at number 4. Let's notice a couple things when I look at number 4. Well, the first thing I'm going to notice is they tell me that the slope is 0. Okay, that may mean something to somebody already. And then we've got it passing through a point. So we're back at door number 2 again. Now, question, what kind of line has a slope of 0? Right, a horizontal line. Okay, I'd keep that in mind as we go. So let's plug things in where they belong. Once again, we're at door number 2. We're using slope-intercept form. So y minus 4 equals 0 times x plus 5. Well, that worked out kind of nice because 0 times anything is 0. So we've got y minus 4 equals 0. Do we have y alone yet? Nope. We need to get this y by itself. Again, in order to do that, we're going to add 4. Y equals 4. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if all we have is y equals a number, what kind of line is that? Yes, that's a horizontal line. And that's just a good thing to recognize as we go through, some little things along the way. All right, let's try a few more, okay? Let's look at my next slide. We're going to write an equation in slope-intercept form. Do you remember what that is? Yeah, slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, okay, of the line passing through the given points. Now, if you look here, they only gave us 2 points. Well, what's the one thing we know to do with 2 points? Yeah, the first thing that we need to do is we need to find the slope. And what I like to say is when they give me 2 points, I have 2 steps. Do you remember how to find slope? M equals what? The change in y's over the change in x's. So here we go. We've got m equals, remember it's the back y minus the front, so we've got negative 1 minus 3 over the x's, back minus the front, which is going to be 2 minus 0. So negative 1 minus 3 is negative 4 over 2. So my slope is negative 2. Now, we've got slope and we've got 2 points, but I want you to notice this point right here. Does that ordered pair look a lot like something we've been doing when we've been finding x and y intercepts? Yes. Did you realize that this is my y-intercept? Well, how do I know? Because I've got a 0 for the x and a number in the y position. So that means that point is my y-intercept. So if I already know the y-intercept and I know the slope, we just got to plug everybody into their parts. Y equals, we just figured out the slope is negative 2. Don't forget your x. And then my y-intercept is 3. Okay, nice. Now let's look at number 2. Now first thing I'm going to notice, is either one of those points my y-intercept? No, can't be. No zeros in the x position. But my first step is still the same. My first step is the same. I've still got to find slope. So slope, again, is the change in y's over the change in x's. So we've got negative 4 plus 1. Remember this minus this. And then my change in x's is 1 plus 3. So what do we got? Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. And 1 plus 3 is 4. So my slope is 3/4. Okay? So that's m. M equals 3/4. Now, we've got a slope. We've got a slope, which is 3/4, and we've got 2 points. Now, it doesn't matter which point we use into point slope form. We just need to use one of them. So you choose. I usually choose the one that's got more positive numbers than negative numbers. So I'm going to choose this guy right here. I'm going to let him be my point, and then we've already calculated slope. So let's put it all together. Remember, point slope form, y minus y prime equals m x minus x prime. And here we go. Y, we've got plus 4. Remember, we're using this point right here, these two, equals m, which was negative 3/4. And then we've got x minus 1. Order of operation, what should we do next? Yep, we're going to take care of that distributive property. And then we've still got y plus 4. Now, we've almost got y alone. Okay, who needs to move? We need to subtract 4. But when I go to this side and subtract 4, oh man, I got fractions. Before I can add or subtract a fraction, what do I have to have? Common denominator. So we're going to change this 4 to 16/4. Does that make sense? Sure it does. So now we've got y equals negative 3/4 x. What's 3/4 minus 16/4? Well, that's negative 13/4. And that is the equation of my line in slope-intercept form. So again, kind of long and drawn out, a lot of little steps along the way. And hopefully after you do a few, you'll recognize the pathway that you need to take. We've got a few more to look at. Let's go ahead and look at number 3. Once again, I gave you 2 steps, 2 points, so we have 2 steps. So the first thing I need to do is I need to figure out slope. Okay, m equals my change in y's over my change in x's. So we've got 7 minus 2, those are my y's, over change in x's. Negative 3 minus negative 3. Well, what's going to happen there? If I do 7 minus 2 in the numerator, what do we get? We get what? 5. What's negative 3 minus negative 3? 0. Ooh, 0's in the denominator. If 0's in the denominator, what do we know? Well, there's no slope. Which line has no slope? A vertical line has no slope. So if we've got no slope, and the reason it's no slope because the 0's in the denominator, okay, so it's a vertical line. What letter goes with vertical line? Yeah, so it's going to be x equals, and if you notice, did you notice in the x position I had the same number? So x equals -3, and that's the equation of the line. Now, let's look at number 4. Same plan. As soon as we realize that we have 2 points, we have 2 steps. So the first thing I need to do is find my slope. So 6 minus 6, back minus the front, over -3 minus 5. Well, what's 6 minus 6? 0 over -8. Oh, we got a 0 again. But remember, where the 0 is matters. This time the 0's in the numerator. So what does that mean? Well, that means my slope is 0. What kind of line has 0 slope? Yes, a horizontal line has 0 slope. Okay? Horizontal, so that means this is going to be, okay, because it's a horizontal line. Is it x equals or is it y equals? That's right, it's going to be y equals, and then did you notice we had 2 6's in the y position? Okay? So a couple little things to remember as we're going through, and that is the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Now, let's go down here and look at number 5. I'm telling you that my y-intercept is -5. Well, that's nice because that tells me b and y equals mx plus b. And my x-intercept is 3. Uh-oh. Well, I've got the y-intercept, but how am I going to find the slope? If you know the x and y intercepts, you know the ordered pairs that go with that. If my y-intercept is -5, then the point that goes here is 0, -5. And if you know my x-intercept is 3, then that means that ordered pair is 3, 0. Remember doing something like this on our quiz? So how do we find slope? Well, you know, m equals y2 minus y1. So we're going to have 0 plus 5 over, and then 3 minus 0. So we've got 5/3, all right? So we're going to see my slope is 5/3, that's m. They told me my y-intercept, so now let's just put them together. Here we go, we've got y equals, what did we calculate slope as? 5/3, don't forget the x, and then my y-intercept is -5. So that's the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Okay, we've got one more slide to look at before we're done today. So here we go, last one. Okay? Whoop, maybe. Okay, write an equation in standard form for the line described. Okay, so we switched it up on this last slide. I want it in standard form. Do you remember what standard form looks like? Nice. AX plus BY equals C. All right, so the line that's parallel to this and contains -4, 0. So we've got the point that we need, but the problem is it's got to be parallel to this line. So we need to know the slope of that line. Now remember, what did we learn about parallel lines? Remember, we learned already this week that parallel lines have the same slope. So how am I going to find the slope of this line? Well, the easiest way is to rearrange the furniture. How do I do that? We need to get y alone. Okay, so which way you want to go? Let's go ahead and add 2y to the other side. So I've got x plus 7 equals 2y. All right, we can flip that around and get y equals mx plus b. We just used our commutative property. We've got to divide everything by 2 now to get y alone. So y equals 1/2 x plus 7 over 2. Now, what's the slope of this line? It is, let's change colors. It is what? 1/2. And if I need a parallel line, then my slope is the same. It's 1/2. So we've got m equals 1/2. And then the point they gave me over here to work on, okay, is -4, 0. Now, let's go ahead and use our point slope form and put everybody where they belong. So here we go. We've got y minus 0. That's kind of nice. There's my equals 1/2 x plus 4. Well, y minus 0 doesn't mean anything. So we've got y equals 1/2 x. 1/2 of 4 is 2, plus 2. Now, we got a couple situations. Number one, to get it in standard form, we have to get x and y together. And the other thing I have to worry about is I can't have any fractions. Remember, when we're in standard form, a and b can't be fractions. So let's get rid of the fraction. I should have done that the step above. So let's multiply this by 2. We've got 2y equals x plus 2. All right, and now let's go ahead and put this in standard form. Now, guys, we're going to have to subtract x to the other side. So we've got negative x plus 2y equals 2. Now, one thing that I haven't really mentioned that I should have is we try to keep a positive. Okay, so in order to get rid of this negative x, we can multiply everything by -1, and our final answer would be x minus 2y equals, Mrs. Burton didn't multiply that by 4, equals 4, okay? And again, I should have made this, I forgot to multiply that by 4. So this is my final answer in standard form. Now, I've thrown a lot at you today. You're going to have to go home and really think it through, and we'll do a lot of these again tomorrow to make sure we understand. Great job.